Michelle, do you have us going live yet? I see 6:29.
Yes, I just pressed it just now. Are we waiting for Randy?
Randy, I sent that email out. Randy has to do something with his father-in-law because they're without power on Pioneer Trail, and his father needs to have a generator. So he's going to try and make it.
Oops.
So you got a quorum though with 3, correct?
Correct. Okay, the time is now 6:30 p.m. and I'm calling the meeting to order. And in attendance, I see we have Hugh Thomas and Audrey Kim. Are you both representing the buyer of the property or Dollar General?
Yeah, hi, this is Hugh Thomas. I'm with BL Companies, and yeah, I'm representing the Dollar General development.
And yes, this is Audrey Kim, and I believe we'll have another associate of mine, Casey Martin, will be joining the call shortly as representatives of the developer.
Okay. I know there are several people listening in on YouTube at this point, and if they have any questions, they should email them to me. And I'll keep my email open in the background so I know when I receive something. At this point, the agenda calls for me to read the minutes of the prior meeting. So I'll get through these in a hurry. Prior meeting was at 5:30 on September 28th. Roll call, Tom Tabalkin, Randy Usher, Wes Hawkins in attendance, Jenny August, Mayor Clark, John True, Marion Fabian, and Michelle Stuck. Wes motion to excuse Chuck Engelhardt and Roy via Wes. Tom seconded, all voted yes. Roy Peck joined the meeting at 5:36. Michelle swears in Jenny August to testify at the hearing. I read the public notice in the Record Courier and asked Jenny to explain the request. Jenny said the request is for a small efficiency apartment she's renting in the garage, and she would like to continue to do so. Questions from BZA. How long has she been renting the property? Jenny said 2.5 years. No noted issues from renting it. Wes asked John if everything was sufficient, and he said yes. Chuck gave Tom a question to ask in his absence. Chuck asked if the septic was efficient for the additional efficiency apartment. Jenny explained that the septic was sufficient. BZA members went to deliberate, and the mayor's in session at 5:45 and returned at 5:53. The applicant requested a variance from section 30501B of the Village of Mantua zoning ordinance regarding number of units allowed per 3 acres. This variance request is for allowing continued rental of an efficiency apartment in the detached garage. Roll call vote. Vote was unanimous. Variance granted on the condition that an occupancy permit for the apartment be gained within 120 days. The use also requires a variance from 410-01E10. Accessory building with living quarters must meet minimum lot and yard requirements contained in section 305.03, rows 5 and 6, to wit 15 feet side yard in the rural residential zoning district. As the existing side yard of the garage is approximately 11 feet. Roll call vote, variance granted, unanimous. Call for adjournment at 5:57. And are there any corrections to this? In that case, I'd like to have a motion to accept the minutes.
So moved. Motion to accept as submitted.
Second.
Thank you. I will sign this and get it over to the village office tomorrow. And just as an aside, Jenny did come up with the occupancy permit and had that submitted already. So this one can be put to bed. Okay, we have a roll call. Randy Usher is not here. Wes Hawkins.
Here.
Roy Peck.
Here.
And Tom Tupagain is here. And can I have a motion to excuse Randy?
So moved. Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. This hearing is being recorded and copies will be available in the village clerk's office or via the village website. The order of business, swear-in persons testifying at the hearing. I assume that would be Hugh Thomas and Audrey Kim at this point.
Yes.
Okay, Michelle, would you do the honors?
Sure. I can't see either of you, but raise your right hand and repeat after me. Or do you have to repeat after me? Do you solemnly swear that any testimony you give before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
I do.
Very good. Thank you.
Michelle, do I have to be sworn in too?
Are you going to?
I don't know if I have to say anything or not, but I do.
You do too. Okay, very good. Thanks.
Okay. Now I'm going to read the public notice that was placed into the Record Courier. Notice of public hearing, Village of Mantua. The Mantua Village Board of Zoning Appeals will hold a public hearing on application for variance relating to Portage County permanent parcel number 24-041-13-00-094-000. Vacant property located on the east side of Main Street, immediately south of Jansen Brothers Hardware in the village of Mantua. The meeting will be held via Zoom at 6:30 p.m. Monday, November 16th, 2020, and live streamed to the public via YouTube Live. Stream link will be available at mantuavillage.com. Applicant Hugh Thomas of BL Companies seeks to construct a Dollar General store on the property and requests variances from the following provisions of the Mantua Village Zoning Code. Section 440.06-C1, which requires one parking space for each 200 square feet of floor area. Section 440.10-E, which requires all off-street parking areas to be constructed at the rear or side of the building and prohibits parking areas in front of the structure. Section 440.12-B-2, which requires parking areas having a capacity of more than 25 spaces to have 2 access drives. Section 440.15-B-1, which requires no less than 10% of the interior of parking areas to be landscaped. Copies of this application are available for review at Mantua Village Clerk Treasurer's Office during regular business hours. Members of the public desiring input may email comments prior to or during the meeting via the email link at mantuavillage.com, and in this case, if they have it, to me directly. Okay, I would like BL Companies, Mr. Hugh Thomas, to explain the request as he sees it.
Sure. Thank you. This store is a typical Dollar General store, 9,100 square feet. Can everybody hear me fine?
Loud and clear.
All right, great. With these stores, there is typically a prototypical amount of spaces, about 30 spaces to serve the store. And Oftentimes, we have to reduce the amount of spaces, just given certain site constraints, and oftentimes have to go for a variance for reduced parking. Now, in this case, we're requesting a reduction of 2 spaces to 28, and we did submit a letter from Dollar General stating that this is adequate to serve their needs. They do have 16,000 stores plus so far, and they do collect a lot of information on these stores, and that is always adequate. 28 spaces is usually as low as we go when we design these stores, especially the 9,100 square feet. The second variance we're requesting is for the construction of the building, construction of the parking in front of the building. Another big site design aspect for these are the maneuvering of the delivery trucks. Each site is designed to safely maneuver a WB67. That's a full-size tractor trailer, 53-foot trailer, in the site without crossing into any of the parking spaces. The truck pulls in, will turn, pull in front of the building, and then back up into the receiving dock. Like I said, without crossing into any of the parking spaces, just for safety. You never know if a car is going to be there. And that feature often dictates how the site lays out as well. Oftentimes, it's a major driving factor. Regarding the third variance, the parking capacity of no more than 25 spaces with 2 access drives. These sites are typically designed for 1 access drive. If you put in 2, you have the issue of you're going to be losing parking in this case, and to provide service to the site, second drive access typically isn't needed. Especially on this one, we looked at and worked with the village up front on the layout of the site because there were certain design constraints like the sanitary easement up on the north end of the site and what we could do in there. But we also have another utility poles, guy wires on the south side accessing Main Street, and that didn't seem like the optimal location to actually put a drive entrance. I would like to go back to the putting the drives, the parking spaces in the rear of the building, and that does limit how you get a truck in and out. You know, there's no place to pull in. Basically, you need a T in order for the truck to pull in and back up and back out. We did provide elevation drawings with the submittal, and they do. I think this is not a stock store by any means. There are quite a few architectural enhancements, and it is a nice looking store. I know that there is up to the north of this site, you have the city with the buildings up along the sidewalk. I know that doesn't go as far down as we're looking to put our site. We're also looking at if you put the parking in the rear of the building, providing ADA access all the way to the storefront, which would be on the other side of the building. So that would be a longer accessible route. And the last variance we were looking at was the 10% interior parking space. This plays into the reduced parking count where we have 28 spaces. So while trying to minimize our number of parking spaces, overall footprint of our pavement and building, we don't have that interior landscaping involved. And that's all I have, unless Audrey has anything she wants to add.
I'm sorry, no, I do not. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Notice our village administrator is not on the call. Normally I'd be asking whether he had any concerns. Mayor, do you have any at this point? Any questions?
Mayor, you're muted.
No, I don't have any questions at this time. Mr. Thomas explained his questions thoroughly, or his reasons, I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. And Questions from the public? Have you received any, Michelle?
No, I have not.
Okay, I got one email here. And actually, I got two here. From Ellie Stom, has the congestion at Orchard Street, Route 44 intersection been considered? This is already a busy and dangerous intersection. Will the store be adding a turn lane to Route 44? Is that lot big enough to accommodate semi trucks unloading? I think that part's been answered. And the other parts of this have to do with acknowledgement of the historic architecture of the village, which we're really not dealing with during this meeting. We're trying to stay strictly on the parking issue, as that's what I have jurisdiction over in this meeting. So I think these other questions regarding having a brick front, some type of turret or roof line, appearance of windows, attractive signage, et cetera, I think would have to be dealt with at the site plan review. Is that correct?
That is correct, as well as a turn lane or anything else. This is strictly regarding the reduction of the parking spaces and allowing them to be in the front of the building instead of the rear.
Okay, thank you. I guess the other question that's in, well, I guess at this point we're ready for questions from BZA members. And
I have none. I have no questions.
okay, Les?
So I understand that you may have received a memorandum from CT. Is that correct?
The engineering comments?
Correct. It addressed multiple issues regarding the parking, including the drive entrance. It said it has to be moved to align with Orchard Street. I assume you're doing that. Is that correct?
The comments from CT, I would like to discuss with the village. We have a number of coordination items that I'd like to address beforehand, before doing too much.
And again, Wes, that is deviating from the limiting of the parking issues, parking spaces.
Well, I would disagree, just simply in that anything that he references as parking, I think is fair game for this meeting. And Mr. Thomas, you are addressing this with the village. We are a part of the village. So I guess my question again would be, are you planning to align with Orchard Street?
No, we were not. And the reason being was that one of the comments were that we are relocating a couple utility poles where our current driveway is at. Locating the drive across from Orchard Street would, number one, require additional poles and supporting guy wires to have to be relocated, and that's additional work. There's also a crosswalk at the intersection that would wind up in our drive apron. The drive apron is designed to safely convey trucks in and out of the site. Where it sits, additionally, and this is one of the upfront items when we provided the concept plan to the village, trying to get feedback. We always like to get as much as we can up front. There's a sanitary easement along the north side of our property line. We asked, what could we do in there? And we can provide pavement, but no structures. I mean, we couldn't put our building in the sanitary easement. So actually flipping the site entirely is what we'd have to do, and that would actually put the building within that sanitary easement, which is something we cannot do. So there's a couple of site constraints that dictate how this site lays out.
Given that we're dealing with parking, I'll move to number 5. where he said, provide vehicle turning movement for the largest anticipated truck size for deliveries, including the following, and he lists a number of them. Have you addressed these at all at this point? Or were you just?
We are, oh, please go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
No, oh, we are putting together a comment response letter. And that's one of the things we want to talk about with the village before we do, just to make sure we're all on the same page, like we just discussed, why there's some things we can do and others, and making sure everybody's coordinated and on the same page and in agreement. The truck turning movements, absolutely we can show those. We have to do that up front to prove to Dollar General that these trucks can safely maneuver in and out of the site. I believe the last one, I'm going from memory, is the entering of a truck into the site without encroaching on, you know, if two cars were lined up trying to leave the site, left in, left out and right out, without a truck encroaching into those areas. I've never encountered that comment, not from ODOT or anybody else. I think if you're trying, you know, if you're trying to limit the width of your driveway to 35 feet per ODOT, and here we have a 36 foot, it's not practical to actually design that without a giant apron. So these are the types of things we like to have just confirmed, and so we can address the comments and have one submittal, and everybody knows why we did what we did.
I could dive deeper into these, but you know, frankly, I think you've answered enough for us at this point, and I'm looking forward to the site plan meeting. I have no other questions at this point.
Okay, I had one or two here. Are these the only variances you expect to need?
Yes.
Okay. And just somewhere here in our zoning book, I remember reading that one of the solutions to parking issues would be shared parking lots between businesses. Have you talked with Jansen Brothers Hardware about the possibility of sharing a parking lot?
I have not, and I know, and maybe Audrey could expand on this, but typically when you're sharing access, there are maintenance concerns, who does what, and who's responsible. And sometimes those things are not, I guess they get a little sticky here and there. I guess the agreements, I'm not a lawyer, but I know those kind of agreements do cause ruffle some feathers sometimes. But no, I have not approached them.
Okay. And I think those were my only questions that I had. And I think, let's see, let me check. Has there been any other emails? Any emails, Michelle?
No, nothing here.
Okay, I think at this point, Roy, West, and I should deliberate and decide on these variances. So can you put us in our own little space for a little bit?
I sure will. Would you like me to join you in there, or you want to just?
I would like you to join us.
All right.
You keep me legal, and I appreciate that.
All right, here you go.
I'm on my own old computer.
I came into the office since I gotta get in my car and fly to Garrettsville for dinner, so.
I think the remote is taking up too much speed, or I think the people across the street are on generators. So I'm lucky to have internet right now. But I think the remote is making it harder. So my old computer, I don't have to pull up on the remote, so.
Well, it's really spotty out here as far as where there is power and where there's not.
Yeah. For some reason, my little part of our block hardly ever across the street does, across town does, on the other side of my block does, but not us.
Well, I know Pioneer Trail is out. There's people in Manaway that don't have cable for some reason, but the other power is on. It's just crazy. In fact, Mike,
Yeah.
they told him he wouldn't have power till Wednesday, at, hopefully by 4 o'clock. They
Ah,
did us yesterday.
in Bainbridge, they told the people Wednesday at 11 p.m. Yeah, East Washington is closed. I don't know if that's road construction
Really?
or if it was from the storm.
Wow.
Yeah. And out our way, 168 is closed also.
I'm sorry, Mr. Thomas, did you say something?
Oh, no, I did not.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
I sent a text out to the whole group. Did they see it? Did you see that text in through Zoom? No. There's 2 other months that some of the people haven't signed those BZA papers.
Hold on. Mr. Thomas?
Yes.
During your narrative, you stated that you were trying to reach out to the village to discuss some of these issues that from the memo from CT Consultants.
Yeah.
Have you been emailing John True about this?
Yep, that's who we've been in contact with.
And the reason I'm asking that is because he is out of town until Thursday this week. If you would like to address those questions to me at my email address, I can see if there's anything I can do to address the issues, as I am the acting zoning inspector when he is not available.
Absolutely, I'd appreciate that.
I did text John today, and all the messages that I've had, I did text him your message in particular, thinking that he might want to get a hold of you before he comes back, but I don't know if he will.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to email me tomorrow, that would be great. In fact, the chairperson for planning might be in the building tomorrow.
Okay. Is your email address on the website?
Yes, it should be. It's just manawaymayor@sbcglobal.net.
All right, yep. We'll try to set up a time just to go over all these comments
Okay.
Whenever you're available.
And yeah, I should be in by 10 in the morning. So, and I can check it from home also. They've just recently got me so I can remote in from home. So.
Okay. I appreciate that.
Just try to make everything run as smoothly as we can and answer any questions beforehand.
So far, I appreciate the upfront on our preliminary and all the feedback, so that's been appreciated.
Right, and I'm sure that you have questions on those 47 concerns, but we like to do that. That way we can address them prior to the meeting if we can, so.
Yep. I guess I know we have on the schedule for Planning Commission next Monday.
That's correct.
Is the site plan review different?
We're hoping to for you to have answers to the questions, or we can work, narrow them down, so to speak. So.
Okay. Prior to next,
Yes.
23rd. Okay.
And we do normally meet in person, but if you would prefer to Zoom in, because we are limited to 10 people. And we also have, excuse me, another site plan review prior to yours, so that one's going to be questionable too. So we've been working with them to try and get their things situated also.
I am in the city of Greene, so it's not that far from me. I can certainly be in person.
Okay. like I say, we'll probably start with the vet clinic first. That one would be at 6:30. So if you're, running a little late or something, we'll know that you're going to be here. And I know that I have residents that want to come for the vet clinic site plan. So
Okay.
This is Casey. I work with Audrey on the purchaser side. If the vet clinic is going first and we come in person, will they be asked to leave for our site plan so we can all come in, or would
yeah,
it be better to zoom in just in case?
no, we're making it clear that it's limited to 10, and so we'll let the people from the vet clinic in for that one, and then ask them to leave. And if they choose to zoom in to view it after the fact, then they can do so.
Okay. Same for public that shows up?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, we're back. We had a fruitful discussion. And what we decided to do was, and of course, I just put my paperwork where I didn't see it. There it is. On resolution 2020-08, we couldn't reach a decision. That doesn't mean that it's disapproved nor approved. We just couldn't decide. And we want to, as the BZA, we'd like to request some clarification from planning that we thought in general, 28 parking spaces seemed quite reasonable. But when we looked at resolution 2020-10 regarding the number of driveways, we didn't feel we were engineers enough to determine whether that was the right thing to do or not. And we wanted to get some clarification from planning and hopefully from engineering before we grant that one. So we wanted to simply not rule on those two and plan on having another meeting on December 10th at 6:30 via Zoom after we've gotten some feedback from planning and hopefully from the engineer on these. So those two, we could not come to any agreement on. So we're putting them off for 3.5 weeks. On resolution 2020-09, which regards all off-street parking areas shall be constructed to the rear or side of the building and prohibits parking areas in front of the structure.
We need to vote on this.
Yes, this one we're going to vote on. So Wes, your vote on this?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. Resolution 2020-09 is granted. Resolution 2020-11 regarding 10% of the interior parking areas must be landscaped. Wes?
Yes.
Roy?
Yes.
And I vote yes. So therefore, upon roll call vote of those members present, be it resolved by at least a majority of members of the Board of Zoning Appeals of Mantua, and that would require all three of us voting yes, that the above application for variance 440 from section 440.15.b.1 of zoning code Village of Mantua, in order to eliminate requirement for any interior landscaping in the parking area proposed development is hereby granted. And I think I should read that same paragraph for the other one that we passed tonight, resolution 2020-09. Upon roll call vote of those members present, be it resolved by at least a majority of the members of the Board of Zoning Appeals of Mantua, Ohio, that the above application for variance from section 440.10.e of the zoning code of the Village of Mantua, in order to permit the parking area to be constructed entirely in front of the proposed structure, is hereby granted. And according to my agenda, at this point, I could call for adjournment, but first I'd like to see if there are any questions or comments.
Well, I, for one, have a comment. I'd sure like to see this store in town. And personally, I would like to see one driveway directly across from Orchard Street. But whether that's possible or not, I do not know. That's why I would like more input from CT.
Okay, and as far as public comment, I haven't received anything else. Just instead of calling it adjournment, you might want to call it recess until your next date, which is the 10th of December at 6:30. And we'll get that in the paper.
So I call for a recess of this meeting.
Second.
Aye.
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 Okay. At 7:28, this meeting is recessed until December 10th at 6:30 on Zoom. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later, folks.
Thank
Aye.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas, Mr. Thomas.
Okay.